Gregory Martinez stared through the observation window of the Star Seeker's biology lab, his dark eyes fixed on the small gray cat curled up in its containment unit. The ship's cat, nicknamed Scout, had become an unexpected source of tension during humanity's first contact with an alien species. Greg never imagined that bringing pets into space would cause such a diplomatic incident. The Valkyrie delegation had nearly fled the ship when they first saw Scout wandering the corridors during their initial tour. Their tall, deer-like bodies had trembled, and their large eyes had grown even wider with terror. It had taken hours to calm them down and explain that Scout was not a dangerous beast, but a companion animal. "They still can't believe we live with predators," Greg muttered, making notes on his tablet. The last 3 days had been filled with endless explanations about Earth's domesticated animals. As the ship's xenobiologist, the task of explaining humanity's relationship with cats and dogs had fallen to him. The ship's intercom crackled. "Dr. Martinez, the Valkyrie representatives are requesting another meeting. They have more questions about Earth's predator species." Greg sighed and straightened his blue uniform. "Tell them I'll be right there." He gave Scout a gentle scratch behind the ears before leaving the lab. The cat purred, completely unaware of the interstellar incident it had sparked. In the conference room, 3 Valkyrie representatives waited, their long necks curving anxiously as Greg entered. Their spokesman, Zelven, stepped forward on delicate hoofed feet. The translator device on his chest glowed as he spoke. "Scientist Martinez, we have reviewed your data about Earth's predator companions. We find it disturbing." Zelven's large eyes blinked rapidly. "How can your species sleep peacefully with killing machines in your homes?" Greg pulled up images on the room's main screen. Children playing with puppies, elderly people with cats in their laps, service dogs helping the blind. "These animals aren't killing machines," he explained patiently. "Through thousands of years of domestication, they've become partners. They help us, protect us, and give us emotional support." The Valkyrie huddled together, their silver-gray fur bristling as they viewed the images. "But they have fangs, claws. We have spent our entire evolutionary history avoiding such creatures." "I understand your fear," Greg said softly, "but look beyond the physical features." He played a video of a rescue dog pulling a child from rushing water. "These animals risk their lives to save us. They're capable of incredible loyalty and love." The Valkyrie watched in silence. Greg could see their expressions shifting from fear to confusion, and perhaps a tiny hint of curiosity. After a long moment, the youngest Valkyrie, Niven, stepped closer to the screen. "They choose to help, without coercion?" she asked. "Yes," Greg replied. "They choose to be our companions. We provide them with food, shelter, and love. They give us loyalty, help, and companionship. It's a partnership that has evolved over thousands of years." The Valkyrie discussed among themselves in their musical language. Finally, Zelven turned back to Greg. "We request more information about this partnership. Our species has never imagined such a relationship could exist with predators. Perhaps we have much to learn from humanity." Greg smiled, feeling a spark of hope. "I'd be happy to teach you. Would you like to meet Scout? I promise she's very gentle." The Valkyrie looked terrified at the suggestion, but Naven stepped forward again. "Perhaps a brief observation, from a safe distance. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start." As Greg led them toward the biology lab, he realized that humanity's relationship with animals might be more significant than anyone had imagined. They weren't just pets. They were proof that cooperation could triumph over fear, that natural enemies could become allies. Maybe that was exactly what the galaxy needed to learn. Gregory Martinez stared through the observation window of the Star Seeker's biology lab, his dark eyes fixed on the small gray cat curled up in its containment unit. The ship's cat, nicknamed Scout, had become an unexpected source of tension during humanity's first contact with an alien species. Greg never imagined that bringing pets into space would cause such a diplomatic incident. The Valkyrie delegation had nearly fled the ship when they first saw Scout wandering the corridors during their initial tour. Their tall, deer-like bodies had trembled, and their large eyes had grown even wider with terror. It had taken hours to calm them down and explain that Scout was not a dangerous beast, but a companion animal. "They still can't believe we live with predators," Greg muttered, making notes on his tablet. The last 3 days had been filled with endless explanations about Earth's domesticated animals. As the ship's xenobiologist, the task of explaining humanity's relationship with cats and dogs had fallen to him. The ship's intercom crackled. "Dr. Martinez, the Valkyrie representatives are requesting another meeting. They have more questions about Earth's predator species." Greg sighed and straightened his blue uniform. "Tell them I'll be right there." He gave Scout a gentle scratch behind the ears before leaving the lab. The cat purred, completely unaware of the interstellar incident it had sparked. In the conference room, 3 Valkyrie representatives waited, their long necks curving anxiously as Greg entered. Their spokesman, Zelven, stepped forward on delicate hooved feet. The translator device on his chest glowed as he spoke. "Scientist Martinez, we have reviewed your data about Earth's predator companions. We find it disturbing." Zelven's large eyes blinked rapidly. "How can your species sleep peacefully with killing machines in your homes?" Greg pulled up images on the room's main screen. Children playing with puppies, elderly people with cats in their laps, service dogs helping the blind. "These animals aren't killing machines," he explained patiently. "Through thousands of years of domestication, they've become partners. They help us, protect us, and give us emotional support." The Valkyrie huddled together, their silver-gray fur bristling as they viewed the images. "But they have fangs, claws. We have spent our entire evolutionary history avoiding such creatures." "I understand your fear," Greg said softly. "But look beyond the physical features." He played a video of a rescue dog pulling a child from rushing water. "These animals risk their lives to save us. They're capable of incredible loyalty and love." The Valkyrie watched in silence. Greg could see their expressions shifting from fear to confusion, and perhaps a tiny hint of curiosity. After a long moment, the youngest Valkyrie, Naiven, stepped closer to the screen. "They choose to help, without coercion?" she asked. "Yes," Greg replied. "They choose to be our companions. We provide them with food, shelter, and love. They give us loyalty, help, and companionship. It's a partnership that has evolved over thousands of years." The Valkyrie discussed among themselves in their musical language. Finally, Zell then turned back to Greg. "We request more information about this partnership. Our species has never imagined such a relationship could exist with predators. Perhaps we have much to learn from humanity." Greg smiled, feeling a spark of hope. "I'd be happy to teach you. Would you like to meet Scout? I promise she's very gentle." The Valkyrie looked terrified at the suggestion, but Naven stepped forward again. "Perhaps. A brief observation. From a safe distance. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start." As Greg led them toward the biology lab, he realized that humanity's relationship with animals might be more significant than anyone had imagined. They weren't just pets. They were proof that cooperation could triumph over fear, that natural enemies could become allies. Maybe that was exactly what the galaxy needed to learn. Lisa Hayes watched her German shepherd, Max, as he circled the abandoned alien space station. The dog's behavior had already saved her team twice today. His keen senses detected the Ravager scouts before any of their equipment could, giving them the advantage they desperately needed. "Status report," her radio crackled. The voice belonged to her superior officer at the Earth Defense Force Command Center. "Third deck is clear," Lisa replied quietly. "Max has picked up some traces, but nothing fresh. The Ravagers left about 6 hours ago." She watched as Max sniffed along the walls, his trained movements showing no fear in the zero-gravity environment. The Ravagers had appeared 3 weeks ago, attacking peaceful worlds without warning. These mysterious attackers moved like predators themselves, but without any of the control or partnership the humans had developed with their animal companions. They attacked, destroyed, and vanished before anyone could mount a defense. Max's ears suddenly perked up. He turned his head toward a dark corridor and gave the silent signal they had trained for. Lisa immediately raised her hand, stopping her team's advance. She switched to the tactical channel. All units hold position. Max has something. The rest of her team, a mix of human soldiers and their canine partners, froze in place. Years of training had taught them to trust their dog's instincts. In the distance, they heard a faint metallic scraping. "Good boy," Lisa whispered to Max, keeping her voice barely audible. She checked her scanner, but it showed nothing. Yet Max's behavior told her everything she needed to know. The Ravagers had left some kind of trap. Lisa pulled out a small camera drone and sent it down the corridor. The feed showed empty space at first, then revealed thin wires stretched across the hallway, trigger lines for explosives. The scanner hadn't picked them up, but Max had smelled the explosive compounds. "Control, we found booby traps. Looks like they're learning from their failures. They're trying to catch pursuit teams now." Lisa marked the location on her tactical map, requesting EOD support. While they waited for the explosive disposal team, Lisa patted Max's head. The dog remained focused, watching the corridor. In the 3 weeks since the attacks began, the canine units had proven invaluable. The Ravagers might be able to fool technology, but they couldn't hide from a dog's nose. Gregory Martinez's voice came over her radio. The xenobiologist had been studying the Ravager attacks. "Officer Hayes, can you describe Max's exact behavior when he detected the trap?" "I'm working on something." Lisa detailed Max's response while watching him continue his surveillance. Gray had been developing a theory about the Ravagers, something about their similarity to Earth's ancient predator species before domestication. "Just as I thought," Gray replied. "They're following pure predator instincts. But we've spent thousands of years learning to work with predator species. We understand how they think." A slight vibration ran through the station. Max's head snapped toward the source, and Lisa immediately understood. "All units, battle stations. They're coming back." As her team moved into defensive positions, Lisa realized Greg was right. Humans were the only species in the galaxy who truly understood predator behavior. They had learned to partner with it, control it, and direct it. Now, faced with predatory attackers, humanity's unique experience might be exactly what the galaxy needed. Her radio came alive with reports of approaching Ravager ships. Lisa looked at Max, seeing the calm alertness in his eyes. Together, they would show the galaxy why humanity's bond with predator species was a strength, not a weakness. Commander Peter Walsh stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Ship Guardian, watching as his unusual strike force assembled. 20 ships moved into formation, each carrying specially trained teams of human handlers and their canine partners. The sight would have seemed strange to most alien species, but Walsh knew this combination of human and animal might be the galaxy's best hope. "All units report ready, sir," his communications officer said. "The Valkyrie colony has confirmed multiple Ravager ships approaching their space." Walsh nodded, his expression serious. "Send the order. Operation Guardian is now active." He watched as the fleet jumped into hyperspace, dogs and humans ready for their first major coordinated assault against the Ravagers. They emerged near the Valkyrie colony, a peaceful agricultural world that had already suffered 2 raids. This time would be different. Walsh had spent weeks studying the tactical data from Lisa Hayes' K9 unit, combining it with Gregory Martinez's research on predator behavior patterns. "Ravager ships detected," the sensor officer announced. 5 vessels moving in their usual attack pattern. Walsh smiled slightly. The Ravagers were predictable, like all pure predators. They followed their instincts without variation. That would be their downfall. "Launch our fighters," Walsh ordered, K9 units to their stations. Throughout the fleet, specially trained dogs took their positions beside their handlers in fighter craft and boarding vessels. Each animal wore a custom spacesuit designed to protect them while allowing them to use their enhanced senses. The Ravager ships moved closer, clearly not expecting resistance. They had never faced an enemy who could match their predatory instincts. Walsh watched as his forces split into the practiced formation they had drilled for weeks. "First wave, engage," he commanded. The fighters moved forward, each guided by the combined instincts of human pilots and their canine partners. The dogs could sense the Ravagers' movements in ways that machines couldn't, giving their pilots crucial split-second advantages. The battle erupted in space around them. Walsh's forces moved with unprecedented coordination, anticipating the Ravagers' actions thanks to their understanding of predator behavior. When the Ravagers tried to flank them, the K-9 units sensed the approach. When they attempted ambush tactics, the dogs' instincts warned their handlers. "Sir," his tactical officer called out, "the Ravagers are falling back." They'd never retreated before. Walsh watched as the enemy ships broke formation, their usual hunting patterns disrupted by an opponent they couldn't understand. "Launch boarding teams. Let's show them what happens when predators meet their match." The boarding vessels moved in, carrying teams of human soldiers and their dog partners. The Ravagers had always counted on fear to paralyze their victims. Now they faced humans who had spent millennia turning predator instincts into protection. From his command position, Walsh monitored the operation. Reports flooded in from the boarding teams. The dogs led them straight to hidden Ravager positions, preventing ambushes. Human and canine worked together with practiced efficiency, clearing the enemy ships section by section. "Commander," Gregory Martinez's voice came over the comm. He had insisted on observing the operation. "This is remarkable. The Ravagers can't adapt to our tactics. They've never encountered disciplined predator behavior before." Walsh watched as the last Ravager ship was secured. Not only had they won, but they had also captured intact enemy vessels for study. The Valkyrie colony was saved, and more importantly, the galaxy had seen what humanity's partnership with animals could achieve. "Send word to Earth Command," Walsh ordered. "Operation Guardian is a success, and tell them we're going to need more dogs." Susan Rodriguez watched with gentle pride as her therapy dog, Bella, approached the young Valkyrie child. The golden retriever moved slowly, her tail wagging softly, showing the perfect calm demeanor that had made her such an excellent therapy animal. The alien child, still recovering from the Ravager attack on their colony, trembled slightly but didn't run away. "She won't hurt you," Susan said softly, while the translator conveyed her words. "Bella helps people who are scared or sad. Would you like to see how soft her fur is?" The medical bay of the Galactic Council's main hospital station had changed dramatically in the weeks since Operation Guardian's success. What started as a simple suggestion, using Earth's therapy animals to help trauma survivors, had grown into something much bigger. The Valkyrie child reached out one delicate hand, letting it hover over Bella's head. The dog remained perfectly still, her brown eyes gentle and patient. Finally, the child's fingers brushed against the golden fur. A look of wonder crossed their alien features. "It's so warm," the child whispered. Bella wagged her tail a bit more, and the child actually smiled, the first time they had done so since the attack. Across the medical bay, other scenes played out. A Persian cat purred in the lap of an elderly Zentarian, its presence helping to lower the alien's blood pressure. A trained therapy rabbit hopped carefully near a group of young Mindari children, helping them focus on something other than their fears. "Remarkable progress," said Dr. Kilvan, the head of alien psychology. The Valkyrie doctor had been skeptical at first, but now she watched the interactions with clear interest. "We never imagined predator species could have such a healing effect." Susan nodded, recording observations on her tablet. "Animals often understand emotions in ways that go beyond words. They don't judge, they don't demand explanations, they just offer comfort." A commotion at the medical bay's entrance drew their attention. The Valkyrie ambassador, who had first encountered Scout on the Starseeker, was entering, and walking beside them was a young golden retriever puppy wearing a training vest. "Ambassador Zelven," Susan called out in surprise. "I didn't know you had started the companion animal program." The ambassador's ears flicked in what Susan had learned was a sign of happiness. "After seeing your work here, how could I not? Young Luna here is helping me understand what your species has known for millennia." The puppy sat obediently at the ambassador's feet, looking up with adoring eyes. "It's not just about overcoming fear," Zelven continued. "It's about trust, about building bonds that transcend natural instincts. Luna makes me feel safe, despite everything I was taught about predators." The Valkyrie child, still petting Bella, looked at the puppy with interest. Could I have a dog too?" Susan smiled warmly. "With your parents' permission, we could certainly find you a suitable companion." She watched as hope replaced fear in the child's eyes. This was why she had started the interstellar therapy program, not just to heal, but to build understanding. More aliens were entering the program every day. Species that once feared Earth's animals were now cautiously exploring partnerships of their own. Some had even started studying Earth's animal training techniques, hoping to adapt them to compatible species from their own worlds. "We're witnessing a real change," Dr. Kelvan observed. "These animals are building bridges between species better than any diplomat could." Susan watched as Bella gently nuzzled the Valkyrie child's hand, earning another smile. Sometimes, the greatest teachers of peace were the ones who didn't speak at all. The emergency alarms blared throughout the Galactic Council station as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. The Ravagers had launched their largest attack yet, striking 20 worlds at once. In the Central Command Center, Gregory Martinez worked frantically at his console, analyzing the attack patterns with help from an unlikely assistant, Scout, the cat whose presence had started everything. Scout's tail twitched as she watched the tactical display, her behavior giving Greg insights into predator movements that his scientific training alone couldn't provide. "They're not just attacking randomly," he muttered, noting how Scout's attention focused on certain patterns. "They're hurting everyone." Commander Walsh's face appeared on the main screen. "Dr. Martinez, please tell me you have something." "We've got Ravager ships pushing civilian traffic into kill zones across 3 sectors. Greg straightened up, his eyes bright with realization. "They're hunting like pack predators, like wolves." "But that means—" He quickly pulled up the tactical data from Operation Guardian. "Commander, they're using our own tactics against us. They've been studying how we fight." On screens around the command center, the situation looked grim. Valkyrie colony ships fled from Ravager attacks, while Zentarian defense platforms fell silent. The enemy had adapted, learning from their defeats. But Greg smiled. "They've learned our tactics, but they don't understand the most important part: why they work. Send this to all human ships." Operation Pack Leader is now in effect. Across the galaxy, human vessels moved into action. Each ship carried not just K9 units now, but a full complement of Earth's animal partners. Cats provided instinctive insight into ambush tactics. Dogs gave warning of approaching threats. Even birds, with their acute sense of spatial awareness, helped pilots navigate the chaos of space combat. Lisa Hayes's voice crackled over the comm as her unit engaged a Ravager squadron. "They're trying to split us up, like they've seen us do. But Max says they're getting frustrated. They don't understand why their copy of our tactics isn't working." Greg watched the tactical display, Scout still by his side. "They copied the form but missed the substance. Real pack hunting isn't about mindless aggression. It's about cooperation, trust, and protecting the group." The battle raged across multiple star systems, but where the Ravagers' attacks grew more frantic and disorganized, the human forces moved with increasing coordination. Every animal partner helped their human handlers predict and counter enemy movements, working together in ways the Ravagers couldn't comprehend. "Look at their formation," Commander Walsh observed. "They're breaking apart. They don't have the bond we have with our partners. They're just copying without understanding." Greg nodded, scratching Scout's ears as she watched the display. That's the difference. We don't just use predator instincts. We understand them. We've learned to work with them, to make them part of something greater. The Ravager ships began to retreat, their coordinated attack falling apart in the face of true partnership between species. On the command screens, Greg could see Valkyrie ships moving to support human vessels, their own newly trained animal partners helping guide them. Even the Zentarians, traditionally the most fearful of predator species, had begun incorporating Earth's tactical innovations. "Send word to all forces," Commander Walsh ordered. "The tide has turned. Push them back. But remember, we're not just fighting as humans. We're fighting as partners, as protectors. That's what makes us different from them." Greg watched as Scout stretched and purred, seemingly satisfied with the battle's direction. Sometimes the greatest victories came not from fighting alone, but from teaching others a better way. 1 year after the final Ravager defeat, the Galactic Council chamber looked very different from when Carol Bennett had first stood there. Now, Earth animals were a common sight in the Grand Hall. A therapy dog lay quietly beside a Valkyrie representative. A cat perched near the Zentarian delegation. Even the tree-like beings had small birds nesting in their branches. Gregory Martinez stood at the podium, Scout sitting proudly beside him, as he presented his findings to the assembled species. Behind him, images showed the remarkable changes that had swept through galactic society. The integration of Earth's animal companions into galactic culture has exceeded all expectations, Greg explained, while Scout purred contentedly. Over 500 worlds have now started their own companion animal programs, adapting our methods to work with suitable species from their own planets. In the audience, Lisa Hayes sat with Max, both now decorated heroes of the Ravager War. Next to them, Susan Rodriguez watched with satisfaction as her therapy animal program received special recognition. The number of successful interspecies bonds had grown beyond anyone's predictions. But perhaps our greatest discovery, Greg continued, wasn't about animals at all. It was about ourselves. Every species here had the potential to form these bonds. They simply needed to see that strength and gentleness could exist together. Commander Walsh, seated in the diplomatic section, nodded in agreement. The military lessons from the Ravager conflict had evolved into something much more meaningful. The same techniques that had won the war were now being used to build peace. The Ravagers showed us what happens when predator instincts go unchecked, Greg said. But humanity's long partnership with Earth's animals showed us a better way. We learned that true strength comes from cooperation, not domination. He gestured to the chamber's newest addition, a large training area where young aliens of various species learned to work with animal companions. A Valkyrie child demonstrated remarkable skill with their young dog, while a Zentarian youth played with a cat, showing no sign of their species' former fear. Today, I'm pleased to announce the opening of the first Galactic Academy of Interspecies Partnership, Greg declared. This institution will combine humanity's experience with the unique insights of all our member species. Together, we'll explore new ways to build bonds between different kinds of life. Ambassador Zelvan, now the proud partner of two dogs, stepped forward. When we first met humans, we thought their connection to predator species was a sign of savagery. We were wrong. It was a sign of wisdom we desperately needed. Carol Bennett smiled from her seat. That first difficult meeting with the Council felt like a lifetime ago. Now, humanity's unique relationship with animals had become one of their greatest contributions to galactic society. The future holds incredible possibilities, Greg concluded. Every day, we discover new ways to connect across the boundaries of species. Every day, we learn more about the power of trust and partnership. As the council chamber erupted in applause, Scout rubbed against Greg's legs. He reached down to pet her, remembering how it all started with one small cat on a spacecraft. Sometimes the biggest changes in the universe began with the smallest acts of friendship. Outside the council windows, ships moved peacefully through space. Many now carried Earth animals as part of their crews, a living symbol of how fear could transform into partnership. Humanity had shown the galaxy that predators could become protectors, that ancient instincts could serve a greater purpose. In doing so, they had helped create a universe where different species didn't just coexist, they flourished together.